Hi, I'm Tanya Curran. I'm the co-founder of Scaly Adventures and the director of education, but you might know me best as Scaly Mom. I'm here with my Scaly friend Peaches, and what you're about to see is additional footage, behind the scenes things that just would not fit into that 30-minute episode. It was just so good though, because the professionals that we film with are passionate about sharing their knowledge with the next generation. So check out this educational footage and make sure to stay tuned to scalyadventures.com for a whole lot more.
So Pierce, what I'm doing right now is just getting our coals consolidated here. I'm gonna keep an eye on this steel. See that right there? We've got some good color, but I want to get a little more yellow to that.
Okay.
That was a high orange. We're gonna take it up a couple degrees. You know, when we're looking at the steel, you're constantly keeping an eye on it, because you can actually, by giving it too much air with my left hand from this blower here,
really?
I can put too much air in there and actually melt that steel, believe it or not.
Wow.
I can get this forged over 3,000 degrees.
That sounds painful.
Yeah, that can be. That's why we, you know, I'm not wearing gloves. That's kind of funny you mentioned that. A lot of people ask me when I'm blacksmithing why I don't wear gloves. And the main reason is the master blacksmith who got me into this trade, Doc Cudd, he always told me, if you wear gloves, you can't grow your own.
Oh.
So he said...
That's an interesting term.
Think about that one for a second, right? All right, Pierce, I'm going to come to the anvil. If you'll take one step back, here we go.
Don't want to get stabbed with that.
Yeah, we got some good heat. All right, so I'm taking this piece of square stock. We're just going to draw this out to a point. And I'm rotating my right hand.
Wow.
Just tapering that steel. I'm keeping it square as it began, but we're just taking that and smoothly tapering it out.
I notice how quickly it loses its color.
Yeah, that's a very good point, man. If you notice, with each heat, you only have a very small amount of time to work it. You see right now, that right there is what we call cold in blacksmithing terms.
Right.
That's 700, 800 degrees still.
Yeah.
We don't want to grab it, of course, but it's cold in the sense that any further hammering will only result in me wearing my arm out.
Okay.
Because each blow of the hammer, you saw the first couple strikes, that stuff was moving like clay.
Oh, yeah.
It was just very fluid, but 15, 20 seconds later, it's already starting to harden up to where each hammer strike is less and less effective.
Yeah,
so,
it becomes less malleable.
Definitely.
Okay.
Exactly. That's the right word. Yeah, you're on it, man. So we'll put it back in the fire, draw a little more in this section here, and then I'm going to take it to the horn and make it into a hook.
Oh,
so
cool.
I'll show you how we do one of those hooks behind you there.
Oh, that's awesome. I have a nice pirate hook now.
Pierce, will you look in my toolbox for some pliers? Like there should be about maybe like 6 inches long. Hoping there's a pair of pliers in there. If not, we'll figure it out. It should be in that top tray somewhere, or might be up underneath that red tray.
Let's see here. I don't think so.
Okay.
I see pliers all around here.
Yeah. There's a little pair of needle nose. Let's see if I... where did I put them at?
Now, what are those necessary for?
Well, the pliers are handy to do the little small curl that you see.
Okay. I thought I saw them.
Sorry, Rick. I kind of took us off.
I'm still rolling. We're
okay.
Good.
All right.
There's this thing called editing.
Okay. we can splice all this stuff, right?
Right. Do this, though. Pull that rod out there a couple times. I just want to get some as B-roll. That's awesome.
Okay.
Now, I got to know, did you make this right here?
No, I didn't. A friend of mine bought that crucifix in Africa.
Oh, okay.
Hand carved by some, like a tribal folks in some country. I think it was it Kenya or something like that, I believe he was in? Yeah. So that was a gift. He brought it back to me, and I had it hanging in the shop here.
I was about to say, if you had made that, I was like, dang, that's pretty darn impressive.
All right, let's do a little more to the anvil here. A little more shaping.
Yeah, I start to see what you're saying. The first few strikes are extremely helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, so you want to make those first couple strikes count. You know, based on the project, sometimes it's really important those first couple strikes count. Right now, I'm hammering a little slower than last time.
Right.
I'm just trying to smooth out my earlier hammer marks, because I want this to, we want it to be handmade, but we don't want it to necessarily look handmade, if that makes sense. I don't want it to be sloppy.
Okay.
So what I'm doing, as it cools, I'm just tapping out some of those ripples. So Look at that, Pierce. Can you tell a hammer ever hit that?
No.
There's no dents, right?
No, that is awesome.
When you first start blacksmithing and you do what I just did, there'll be all these gashes in the steel where your hammer struck it like that or
Right.
like that. I mean, that's exaggerated, but it's doing more of that instead of a flat strike upon the
Okay.
steel.
Right now we have a nice war spear.
Yeah, exactly. This is the beginning of a nice frog gig here. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
We'll add a couple little spurs to the side. So that's where you want it to be. It's thin enough, but not too thin. So now we'll bring it to the horn and actually make it a hook.
Oh,
So
cool.
you'll see really just how malleable this steel is. You thought it appeared malleable before. Well, that's pretty sweet right there. Add a little more coke to it. Build that fire up a bit. That smoke coming off, that's the impurities, that kind of darker
Oh, cool.
green, yellowish smoke, you know, the impurities of the coal burning off.
What's the highest color for the highest temperature?
You know, it's, because you always hear, you know, the blue flames are the highest. Well, I'm looking at more, I'm not looking so much at flame color in the blacksmithing, but I'm looking at really the brightness level of the glow from inside the coal bin.
Okay, so would pure white on the metal be the hottest?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, that pure white where it hurts your eyes to look at, that's where you're going, okay,
Wow.
that's 2,700 degrees, 2,600 degrees, because you have to get steel upward of that 2,700 degrees in order to be hot enough to forge weld.
Wow.
So forge welding, I have a great example of that. I believe it was over, yeah. So, a piece of flat bar, look at that and see if you can find the weld on it.
The weld.
It's a lap
gosh.
weld, where it was lapped over itself and glued together, if you will, by striking it at 2750.
I know I'm wrong,
2800
but I'm
degrees.
going to guess right there.
That's a good guess, man, but take a look at that right there. Do you see how that, you can see the shape?
wow. Now
So
I
that
do.
right there is where it was joined together. So this piece of flat bar that was rolled around the horn of the anvil and welded, and it was done well enough that you can barely tell where the weld was.
That's amazing.
So we could make a trivet out of this, like an old Revolutionary War. We could put a handle on it, and we could cook food over this over the fire. So
that is amazing.
something like that. This is the beginning of a trivet, I believe they call that. So
Just goes to show you how much work goes into making a simple circle.
yeah, it's true, man. Nothing is simple in the blacksmith shop, but things get easier with time. You know?
Right.
That's the beauty of it. Nothing's really easy by any means, but then again, if it were easy, everybody would be a blacksmith, right?
Of course, yeah.
Because who wouldn't want to do this? Yeah,
It's pretty fun. You get to beat metal
yeah.
and burn things.
Pierce, let me come to the horn there,
All
buddy.
right.
All right, so this, now you're really going to see what I was talking about. So we'll start it here,
Oh, wow.
and I'm going to take
That's amazing.
and roll my hand. I'm moving my right hand forward as I move my left hand around the horn.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm going to open that up a little bit, take it back to the horn for a little more shaping.
Now, see, for me, that's where I really can actually see how malleable those first strikes really are.
Exactly.
You bent that thing completely within like 2 to 3 strikes.
It doesn't take much strength either. You know, people think a blacksmith, okay, you got to be, you know.
Mr. Olympia.
Yeah, exactly. But that's not so true. So that's how we take and roll that around the horn and make ourselves a hook. So,
Wow.
So now from this point, let's watch it sizzle in my
Ooh.
not so old-fashioned bucket.
Oh, that's so much fun to do.
And now it's already cold. We can grab it. It was a couple hundred degrees a moment ago, and now it's cooled off.
That is so cool.
Just gonna kind of dry that, and then we can take a look at the first part of our project. I just wanted to show you just really what that horn can do then.
Dang.
You know, and we'll put some finishing touches on curling that end. But it's just amazing to see. This is kind of like when you start blacksmithing, making a nail is one of your first skills. Making a hook becomes one of your second or third projects.
Right.
Because what you learn through that process is a lot of skills that things will be built upon in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So learning how to use the horn, learning how to use the face of the anvil, all of that is very important.
Even with what you just said, you start with the nail. That was the original of this hook right here. And then
Yeah.
you go into the hook. So
You're exactly
each skill,
right.
each build builds off the next one.
You're exactly right, Pierce. Good
That's so
observation.
cool.
Man. Yeah, because you're right. That was had we cut that off and made a nail head, we would have had a finished product. But we're taking it 2 steps further. So
that is awesome.
all right.
Cool.
All right. So Pierce, we're gonna take this rod here, and I know you'd asked me about making a, what do you call this thing exactly? What's
That is a snake hook. Yeah.
a snake hook. Okay. So we're gonna try to forge out this section of it here, the snake hook part. So I've got a rod a little bit smaller diameter than that, but not by much. So you know, in a blacksmith shop like mine, you kind of take what you can get from the scrap pile. You know, so you never have exactly the right size per se. But
well, that's actually a large animal snake hook, so that could actually be one that I would use more around the house.
okay, good. Yeah, this would be your getting the garter snakes and such out of the yard. So let's see. I think the first maneuver we'll do is that bend right there.
All right.
So let me think this one through here for a second. All right, coming to the horn.
All right. It's so amazing to see how malleable the metal is the first time you bend it like that.
Right, isn't it? I mean, it's just incredible to think that the lightest of hammer taps is all it took there.
And so when you're brushing that off, is that because actual flakes of metal are coming off?
Yeah, it's, you know, they call this stuff scale, so it's kind of like the oxidation of the metal.
Okay.
That's what's being removed there. So, you know what? Let's see if we can get a little bit more out of this real quick. Okay. So I've tried to emulate kind of that first bend.
Okay.
And I over-pronounced it because now we're going to heat this up, and I'm going to come to the horn and start to roll it that way to give ourselves a little bit of a hook. So... And so let's see here.
It's going to be interesting how you get that in the fire there, at that curve.
Yeah, sometimes, you know, it's funny. Sometimes you never quite know. You got to kind of get creative how to get it into the fire. Because I have a very small heat source, and you've got to find a way to get it right in there.
Okay.
See that hole in the back of the wall?
Oh, boy.
I punched a hole in the wall with my saw because I had to shove a rod 6 feet long and I had to heat the center of it.
Oh, my gosh.
So I put a hole so I could slide my steel outside the building while I heat the center of it. So, yeah, sometimes it's hard to get it right in there.
Now, just out of curiosity, you couldn't have turned it sideways?
Like this, or?
Completely sideways to get it in?
Oh, the steel?
Yeah.
You know, I probably could have, but see how this little divot is here?
Okay.
And on the back? If I lay it across the top, I couldn't get it buried down deep enough. So it was a thick steel, so it takes a long time to heat unless it's completely encased in those hot coals.
Okay.
So, yeah, that was why I opted to put a hole in the building. So, you know, it worked, right?
Right. So, Steve, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you've got going on here, your setup, and the different tools that you've got right here.
Yeah, Pierce, for sure, man. So this is a pretty old-fashioned setup. You know, here we are in 2016. I'm blacksmithing as if it was the year 1905. You know, let's say, for example, this blower right here has a date of 1902 on it.
Oh my gosh.
This is really an upgraded setup to what I had before, though. I had an older fashioned blower, like a bellows on this.
Wow.
And this is really nice because it's floor mounted, and you see how little I crank it to get a lot of air going to that fire.
Right.
So, all right, let's go back to the horn with this
All
steel.
right. Ooh, that's nice and fiery hot. Oh, that's cool.
All right, so it's starting to take shape.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of see it rolling. Is this kind of sharp? You know, it's not very round right there. Is that critical, or does it need to be...
What that does is it pins the snake's vertebrae so that it has less maneuverability.
Okay, so we need it kind of squished a little bit there.
Yeah.
Okay. Of course, I've never made one of these before, so this is all trial and error right now. That's the beauty of blacksmithing. If you mess it up, you just heat it back up and try again.
Well, it's amazing to see how your mind works differently, because when most people would look at this, they just say it's a hook. But you dissect it to see the different curves and the way it's sharp V and stuff. Not a lot of people think that way.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's why I wanted to be sure to ask you too, because you know, for a guy that doesn't know what that exactly the purpose of the tool is exactly, you know the intricacies of that design and why it's important.
Yeah,
you know? That's true, Fierce. Yeah, this this forge, as you were asking me, you know, what I've got burning in the side here is a product called coke, which coke is just charcoal made from coal.
Oh, wow.
So I buy it in the form of coke, and the reason I like coke over regular coal is that it's cleaner. It's already been burned in the process of making it charcoal, so it burns a lot cleaner, and also it burns hotter. So much quicker was I able to reach these temperatures of over 2,500 degrees in the fire. So that's why I chose. All right, let's go back to the anvil here and see.
Wow, that is almost painfully bright.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's where it gets quite hot. All right. Just kind of taking it slow, a little bit at a time. It's getting a little bit closer now.
Oh, yeah.
So if I kind of just compare, okay. So
the end there seems to bend straight. It goes from a curve to straight.
So let's try to make that, I'm going to try to draw that out a little bit, make it a little thinner too on the end, and we'll see what we can do.
It's what I was seeing is that the end of the rod got colder quicker than the middle. Is that because of the way heat evaporates from it?
You know, that's a great question, Pierce. What you will notice, so, you know, I had a little more heat in the back there, and not so much on the front when I heated it up.
Okay.
So I was really kind of centralizing the heat to where we wanted it to be. But what's interesting too is as a piece gets thinner, as I thin this out, it'll heat up much quicker, but also cool off much quicker.
Okay.
So if you're heating a big block of steel, it takes 10-15 minutes in the fire to heat up to working temperature. But as you pull it out, you've got maybe 45 seconds to hammer on it instead of the, you know, 10 seconds that you're seeing today.
The less mass there is available, the quicker it heats up.
Yeah, exactly, man. You know, a lot of it's kind of common sense stuff, but it takes that practice of kind of seeing how it works and walking through it to really, I think, you know, kind of get a feel for it.
Mastering the craft.
Yeah, because, you know, this is one of those trades where when I was working with Doc, the master blacksmith, you know, he told me 7 years an apprentice, 7 years a journeyman, and then if you're good enough, you'll be made a master blacksmith. So that's the historical way that this journey has been, and that's how Doc was trained. He started this job when he was 10 years old. So, you know, just like the blacksmiths of old. All right, Pierce, let me go hot to the anvil here.
So basically what you're saying is this is a career that if you want to get started, it's something that you want to start young.
Yeah, for sure. If given the opportunity, definitely recommend starting young. You know, the problem is these days, very few people know where to find a blacksmith, right? But
well, I know where to find you if I ever want to.
That's true. There's more than you realize out there doing this. I'm just going to wipe some of this scale off. And
that is so cool.
I better put it back in the fire. Not much heat there. I was trying to get a little more stretch out of it, but
I can barely tell the difference now.
Yeah, it's getting closer. That's the thing. It's just one little step at a time. You know, I'm just kind of a little bit here, a little bit there, and you slowly build it up because there's no penalty for heating it 20 times over 2 times.
Right.
You know, you don't lose points or lose quality of steel. You don't mess up the integrity of the piece by multiple heats either. So so you're never really rushing in blacksmithing. At least hopefully not, because then you're losing your focus of it. All right, let's see what we got here.
I noticed a lot of your tools are also very robust and stuff. Are they also handcrafted? Because everything here seems to look like it was made from the shop.
Yeah, well, you know, a blacksmith, part of your training is learning to make a lot of your own tooling. You know, that's a big part of the real experience. These tongs, I did purchase these tongs, but I have a couple pair on the wall that I did make. So, you know, you do learn the basic principle of tong construction because sometimes, let me go back to that. Oh, see a couple sparkles there? Oh, just for a second, they faded away.
Oh, that is so
cool. There was a little bit of sparking showing us that we were getting it about as hot as it's going to be. Okay, let's try to do a little bit of that.
I see that flaking that you're saying.
Yeah.
And that's called scales?
That's the scaling of the metal.
Oh,
yeah.
That's so cool. It's amazing. You've barely tapped it and you can completely change its shape. That's how hot it is.
I know, right? You just see it. And this is great because we want very subtle movements at this point in the project.
Yeah.
Because we don't want too much movement, but as you see, it moves without much effort.
Wow.
All right, let's cool it down and take a look at it here. All right, let me dry that off, and we need to have a snake run by us real quick.
Darn, if only I had Goliath.
So nothing fancy, right? But it's fairly close.
That is awesome.
Not a mirror image, but pretty close. Yeah, so we're trying to make that right there, and hopefully this will help Pierce catch his next snake.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
All
That
right.
is so cool.
Yeah, you're welcome, Pierce. Let me